So the first and most important step is determining why your podiatry clinic needs a practice growth plan, or a podiatry clinic needs a practice growth plan. And really, you want to determine your why. What are you trying to achieve, or what is the result you're hoping to accomplish? Because to be honest, it's not a sprint. This is more of a marathon. This is going to take time to achieve, but you have to have a plan in place, or at least most people do, in order to make this happen. So it requires a little bit of self-reflection, a little bit of introspection as far as, why did you go in podiatry in the first place? What type of patients are you hoping to treat? And kind of what are the results you want to get? So starting off there is kind of where it all begins. And to be honest, not every single practice needs a plan. If you're part of a big multi-specialty clinic, if you're in a big surgical, like I was in an orthopedic surgical clinic when I was in practice, if you're part of like the VA healthcare system, you may not need a plan. Maybe you have enough internal referrals already. But for those in private practice, or those looking to treat, become kind of the go-to expert in a specific area of podiatry, it is important to have a plan. But just to be completely transparent, not every single person or every podiatrist needs a plan necessarily. And when I look at kind of my initial thoughts about like, how do I kind of make a plan, or, how am I going to get patients to come to my practice? It all starts off with providing excellent care. And I think that's very true to this day. But these other two are kind of areas where I didn't really understand kind of the other options that were out there. Obviously, you want patients to generate positive word of mouth, hoping that will translate into more new patient visits, kind of in the areas you want to treat. So, you put your head down, you work hard, you treat people well, and good patients will come your way. And if you're in the right setting, that might work. But if you're in private practice, you don't have, you're kind of more reliant on online referrals, or referrals from other practice providers. There's some need there to supplement the kind of excellent care you provide with gaining some awareness in your local community that you do provide excellent foot and ankle care. Because just because you do that, do certain procedures, or treat certain types of patients, maybe not every healthcare provider or not every member of your community realizes you do something like sports medicine, or ingrown toenails, or foot and ankle surgery, for example. So sometimes you have to spread some of that awareness by showing it on your website, your online presence, getting out to local events. There's different ways to make people aware of the excellent foot and ankle care you provide in your clinic. Like I mentioned, you have to kind of build a foundation, whether that's your website or your Google My Business. You have to demonstrate that authority, that you are the kind of go-to expert in an area. You have to capture that local demand in order to get the attention of your local audience, along with kind of providing social proof, making sure your website's patient-centric. You're prescribing real solutions for your patients. And that's kind of forming that local connection. And then the last step, as far as, prompting action with people in your local community, having them book appointments, you're helping educate them about all the things that you do, and basically turning someone in from like a regular patient into a practice promoter are all ways you can grow your practice. So why commit to a plan? Why is it important that you have a plan in the first place? Number one, I said, when you have a plan, you're less distracted. There's lots of tools, or lots of new ways to do things out there, whether it be social media, or new ways to build out a website, or new ways to kind of market your practice, or different procedures that are out there. But until you have a plan, it's really easy to be distracted. You spend a month doing Google ads, and then that didn't work. You try a month of Facebook ads. People can kind of jump around from these different tools. And unless you kind of commit to specific plans and specific targets, it's really easy to get distracted. So you want to make sure that you have a plan in place so you can measure things, you can see what's working over time, and then either eliminate that as something that doesn't work, or double down on the things that are working for you in your practice. And like I mentioned, the goal is not just kind of doing 1,000 things and going in 1,000 different directions at the same time. You really want to focus on one or two areas to see whether you can validate them as working or not working for your practice, and kind of building on those small wins over time so your practice gains momentum and you can really see that improvement over time, as opposed to like trying to do all the things and seeing no real progress. Like I also mentioned, It's a really important to know kind of where your blind spots are and eliminate things that are wasteful. Whether that's kind of within a certain channel. Let's say in Google Ads, you were advertising on something like plantar fasciitis. Well, Dr. Scholl's inserts, Superfeet, the podiatrist next door, some other miracle podiatry, plantar fasciitis solution is trying to advertise on those terms. So maybe that's not the right way of doing Google Ads. Or maybe there's a different way that within Google Ads, you can eliminate some of that waste and go after patients that are actually seeking your care. Also, by building an online presence and making more awareness of the services and the types of patients you treat, you can be seen as that local go-to expert. By making consistent efforts both online and offline that, let's say you want to go into sports medicine, you're volunteering at marathons or local running road races, once they're opening back up, showing up at running shoe stores and providing a clinic as another example, or just how your website looks in general. Do you look like you treat sports medicine patients? Is there more than just that text on your website? Are there images? Are there experiences that you're sharing on your website to show that you are that go-to expert in that kind of area of niche that you want to be seen as that? Also, it allows you to provide better patient care. When you're seen as the go-to expert in a certain area, you're more likely to get more of that kind of either surgeries or procedures or type of patient. So the more you're working with that specific group of patients or doing more of that specific type of procedure, you're going to get better at doing those things. It's fine to be a jack of all trades and maybe live in a small town, live and practice in a small town where you can't be quite as niche, but the more you can kind of tell patients the type of patients you want to treat or the type of things that you are the go-to expert in, the better care you can provide to patients in your local area.